office, all the officers who are present here from the various field offices, industrial association experts, ladies and gentlemen. We had an enthralling session in the morning where Hon'ble President of India chaired the function of the MSME Day, which we celebrate not only to celebrate the good work done by the ministry in the MSME ecosystem, but also to take stock of what can be done, what is required to be done in the entire ecosystem to make it a fledgling and a very strong one, to make it, to enable it work towards the betterment of the society and the economy. When we talk of the betterment, obviously MSME's contribution is cannot be overemphasized much, but the fact that the MSMEs also are, the major chunk of the MSMEs are also into the manufacturing sector is why we are having these technical sessions, in which the two panel discussions which will be focused on the manufacturing aspect of the MSMEs. The first panel discussion, which would be chaired by the Joint Secretary Sir, would be around Industry 4.0, how its adoption in the MSMEs can be improved and quickened, and how the digital transformation of the MSMEs can be brought about. The panel discussion number 2 would be around adoption of quality practices and measures and how to improve the quality consciousness among the MSMEs. These two are an important cog in the wheel, in the sense that once these two basic parameters are addressed, obviously the manufacturing ecosystem is going to get a lot of boost. And with all the experts, government, academia, and the various other offices and MSME entrepreneurs also being represented in the two discussion panels, I'm sure a lot of good ideation and a lot of good takeaways would be coming out. So without much further ado, I'd request Rajeshwari Madam to take up and proceed with the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for setting the context. We are honored to have with us a distinguished panel of experts from the industry who will share with us their insights on the subject. As mentioned just now, the first panel will be on Industry 4.0 and digital transformation of MSMEs in India. Before inviting the panelists onto the dais, may I invite now the, Shri Atish Kumar Singh Ji, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of MSME, to chair the first panel, sir. Shri Atish Singh Ji is a senior officer with over 25 years of extensive experience in public administration, policy formulation, program implementation, institution regulation with core competency in financial inclusion, industrial finance and policy designing. He has served in the ministries of MSME, finance and railways, and has contributed to bringing breakthrough policy direction and transformative progress. In the Ministry of MSME, Shri Atish Singh has been spearheading the technology promotion schemes in the ministry. Welcome, sir. I take pleasure in inviting Shri R.K. Rai, Additional Development Commissioner, onto the dais. Shri R.K. Rai will be moderating this session. Shri Rai has a master's in thermal engineering from IIT Roorkee. He has served as the Secretary of Bureau of Energy Efficiency. In his present position in the DCF MSME, he implements Technology Centers program. Welcome, sir. I now invite Mr. Anup Wadhwa, Director, Automation Industry Association, to occupy his seat on the dais. Welcome, sir. Shri Wadhwa is an alumnus of the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and has varied experience in working in both public and private sector. His area of expertise includes process reengineering, technology collaborations, project engineering, project management, facilitation, and mentoring. We are privileged to have you with us, sir. I now invite Shri Arun Gopalaswamy, Head Engineering Industry 4.0 ITC. Shri Gopalaswamy has a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronic engineering and has served in the Indian Navy and Mrs. ITC Foods promoting Industry 4.0. Shri Gopalaswamy is a strong advocate of the smart factory concept, which is a holistic and innovative and enhances end-to-end supply chain capabilities. Thank you, gentlemen. I now leave the floor to you for the discussions. Yes, sir, I'm very sorry. I cordially invite Dr. Haresh Malkani, Chief Technology Officer, Clean Energy Smart Manufacturing Innovation Institute, SESME. Shri Haresh Malkani, welcome, sir. Dr. Malkani holds a PhD and MS degrees in Mechanical Engineering from Northwest University in the US. He has decades of experience in R&D and environment, covering development, deployment, and smart manufacturing technologies, including automation, modeling, and simulation. Thank you, panelists, for accepting our invitation and for participating in the paneling discussions. I now give the floor to you, sir.
Yes. Initial remarks you would like to say?
Yeah. So thank you very much for having us over for this technical session. So this is a very important panel discussion for the ministry, and we've got a galaxy of panelists from different parts of the industry, and it is important for all of us to hear and listen to what's happening around in the industrial landscape across the country, in the areas of Industry 4.0 and digital transformation. So the learnings from here will be extremely useful for all of us in the ministry to convert all these ideas into policy action and improve upon our existing programs and other executive working. Just to, I have a couple of thoughts which I thought I would like to first share, and then maybe Raisab, the moderator, can, take this forward. So the DOT, the Department of Telecom Communications did a study on IoT readiness in India some time back, and they came up, with a report which explained how, industry is looking at IoT in terms of the equipment and machinery, and also in terms of the skill set available to translate everything into the ground. And some of the findings were something which you were expecting, but the shocker, the thing which was not known really was completely different. So they did a specific study with respect to usage of 5G, and in that, they said that while 5G is being used on the retail side, extensively, all of us use 5G, and all of us are using 5G to look at videos and internet. But they have a specialized, package on 5G for industry. And 5G is also not just about speed. 5G is also about cyber security. 5G is also about other, it has got more depth than what the present, the retail program offers. So the shocker was that only less than 6% of the that 5G which is available is being utilized. So there is a huge potential which I think all of us need to first understand, and then look at it, and then try to take that up onto the ground. Ultimately, if you want to get into the Industry 4.0 and 5.0 and get artificial intelligence tools working, you would certainly need 5G. And so that is something I feel the industry and the MSME and the clusters across the country need to look at. Second situation also was that with respect to retrofitment. So while the different machinery and equipment was available in the sectors where 5G where this IoT Industry 4.0 has been adopted, but the problem remains with respect to retrofit. So that is another area I feel where there is a lot more we can do. And because buying a new equipment, new machinery altogether, which is Industry 4.0 ready, is involves a huge capital cost, which of course, as everybody, all of us know here in the MSME, is a big problem. But retrofitting a machine is something which is certainly, that is also I feel very strongly. If you want to push this program, we can build upon that. And in terms of artificial intelligence and digitalization, so we are living in a world of disruptions. Disruptions left, right, and center. Top, center, bottom. You look around everywhere, there is disruption and everything. And in every field, artificial intelligence is certainly coming in the picture. So the question remains: how does the MSME partake what is happening around us, benefit from that? So while you may be reading some successful pockets of innovation which have been adopted on the AI, but to get scale, I think what we probably need to do is look at pushing the AI not just at the macro level but also at the firm level, and one important pathway to do that is what is known as the India AI mission. I don't know if any of you've heard of the India AI mission. India AI mission is a MeitY has set it up, and they have presently about 350 data sets available on that, and there are various toolkits which are presently available and many more in the developing. It is no brainer really to for all of us to look at that India AI mission data sets. And also I would very strongly urge, ma'am is here, and we should certainly let our Udyam data with consent, without consent, you put it over there, because if you want the AI technology to percolate, and if you want the people who are working on the AI technology, let them have all the data sets available. Let them have the Udyam data. Let them have the data with respect to industry, and let them have the data with respect to Z certification, and there are other various data sets where the ministry is sitting on. And so that is I feel the India AI mission is certainly a pathway we should leverage and move forward. So I'll stop here, RK ji. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the context, I should say. Sir, I will start with the Automation Industry Association. Vadwaji is a good old friend of mine. Around 10 years back, we worked in a project of, I think, DPIT, Heavy Industry, that was at Samarth at IIT Delhi, where Automation Industry Association played a vital role in bringing automation in MSME sector around 10 years back. That was I 3.0, now we are in I 4.0, AI, ML, all these aspects. So, Vadaji, with your experience of bringing automation in industry around 10 years back, I'd like to listen from you that what have been your experience or initiative taken by AIA in bringing, making MSME ready for adoption of I 4.0 or AI, and what do you expect from the other side, means from the government, whether MSME or MIT, what role we are supposed to play in making MSME ready for that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Rai. I think we are meeting at the right time. I just wanted to know amongst the audience, most of you from policy making, or you're also actual manufacturers?
It's a mix of both.
It's a mix of both.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me address my experience, not only of that 10 years, but I think automation, I got involved since 1980s, mid 80s. My success stories, which I really remember with MSMEs, there is one retrofit of a flour mill in Kanpur. You talked about retrofit.
Yeah.
He imported a Swiss machine, and we were able to convince him to automate that using PLCs. With him, the deal clincher was not technology, it was money, money and money. The first thing we convinced him was he could commission the plant faster, he would get into production, and the electronics we were giving him was more reliable than the relay-based and timer-based system, which was a conventional system. And purely when he got convinced on these two parameters and he realized that he was investing for his financial growth, he gave us the clean chit. There were serious issues about not having anybody to maintain electrical and electronic equipment. There were serious issues about not wanting to hire a programmer for the software. We said, leave it to us. We converted his panel builder into our front-end system. We taught him how to program. We told him what the maintenance schedules were. So when you give that kind of a comfort, then only you want to adopt technology. Now, at my age also, I know there's a whole lot happening, but when I see the youngsters play around with technology, they're far more agile. So conventional businesses require to be kept in comfort and not be flooded with the danger of AI, ML or Gen AI, etc. The other was a case study with a machine builder. only when we could convince him that his machine would get superior features and he could get more money from his customers, that he agreed to go for automation. So the point I'm making is, you need a business purpose. Do you want to get hooked to a better supply chain, like with ITC or with an auto major or an export supply chain? You have that purpose. Do you see the profit coming from improved quality, from improved availability, higher OE? And how would you retain your employees if you train them in high tech? Most MSMEs are scared of investing in people कि ये तो छोड़ के चला जाएगा. So unless we are able to show them an upward path for the people also, both in terms of responsibility and therefore higher salary, there is no guarantee you'll be able to retain him. So there's that people side. And my last one, which is often most underrated, is processes. In automation, you cannot succeed even one bit if you are not 100% clear of how the process will run. Because a machine is, a PLC program is also like a AI tool, you know. You have to tell him, boss, ye karna hai. Anything outside the rule, it cannot handle. So when we are talking about connectivity, digitization, we have to tell them that data collection is going to be useful to you for your next step, which is making your processes streamlined and connected. There are other issues also which are there in digitalization, which was really not so much in automation, and I should be fair to the audience and tell you about that. One is visibility. There's a whole lot of transparency if you go for Industry 4.0, which means even the production operator will know what are the quality norms of my company. Everybody will know what is your energy consumption norm. Everybody will know what is your machine downtime. If the entrepreneur doesn't want to reveal the truth, he will not be able to implement Industry 4.0. The last one is on connectivity, since mentioned about 5G. You know, the cloud is going to give you lots of advantages because you can have software at 20,000 rupees a month, which is peanuts. But are you confident that you will let the data go out into the cloud? Now, the industry has taken a lot of steps in the last few years. There are models in which you keep all your data, the sensitive data, inside your four walls. So all those computations and all that stuff happens under your control. Then you use the cloud only to share data which needs to go to an outside expert, let's say for knowledge. I have a machine which is showing me a dip in quality. I need to consult an expert on this machine. I can't afford him. I want to give him access. So that part you can then put it on the cloud and do that. So industry has also responded with a lot of answers. How do you keep the MSME safe, secure, and sustainable on his path? Because these journeys we have seen, if you have a dip, the chances are that you will stop further implementation. So giving comfort is one big thing. And because you mentioned about Samarth, I'd also like to make a sort of suggestion to the MSME. I think it's time that India talked about competency being Samarth. So I would rather want to see a Samarth player irrespective of size. You buy any product, you can buy the expensive phone, you can buy an inexpensive pen, but you want good quality, right? First time right, higher life cycle. Where do you get it? You get it from a company which is capable of giving you these products and services. So the categorization of MSME may have had lot to do with what the government gives in terms of subsidy, etc. But I think customers are only asking something: is this guy samarth to deliver my requirement, or is he not capable? And I think it would be a shame if we, at the end of the next 5 years, say that majority of our manufacturing units are not samarth. So that is, I think, where the linkage should be. Grow up the value chain, become competent with respect to people, processes. Technology will follow if you have these two in place. If you don't have these two in place, technology just cannot fit in. That's my submission. As far as what can we do and what is it we would like to offer, we have at IIT Delhi, we have a center of excellence which was funded by our industry as well as grants from the Ministry of Heavy Industry. The Ministry of Heavy Industry is absolutely fine with us putting that to the service of the MSME sector. We, in fact, have created a kind of a standard template which can easily be adopted. We've converted that simple lathe machine, which I think everybody knows and has in their plant, made it a smart machine. When you make it a smart machine, you know what are the parameters which now you can monitor. You also have inbuilt in that a small model of ML. So machine learning, how the data capture is used to predict quality and to predict maintenance is also there. On top of that will then come the AI or the Gen AI. I know there's a lot of buzz and even if I today just want to use the mobile to ask any kind of questions, I just need to press a button and it appears as if I'm dealing with a human being. But trust me, that AI output is common output. It's a baseline output. Only if it helps you to do something value added should you use it. Otherwise, what will happen is you will become intellectually lazy. And now the researches and papers are coming that insensitive use of AI is going to dull our consciousness. So we have to be smart when we go into all these applications, but more smart than all our advice, I think, is the entrepreneurship desire to grow in profit, to grow in sustainable operations, and to be able to deploy high caliber, high skilled people. We support in skilling, that's our main forte, because like IIT, we are supposed to carry the educational ethos. But we also like to reach out and we'd be happy to take upgradation of your tool rooms. We'll be happy to take a cluster. We also found that a cluster approach will work because unless you can handle the entire skilling needs from the technician to the engineer, you can't close the loop. So we are ready to do that, and I think with the guidelines of the ministry and the priorities and some of your industry champions, we can form a team and we can get started very quickly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And sir, moving on, I will move on to ITC, Arun sir. Sir, it's a fact that ITC has a vast chain of MSMEs based on the supply chain. And I'm sure ITC, with their experience, they must have implemented some other way, Industry 4.0 or AI application in some of your verticals. So I'd like to listen from you, and further is what have been your experience, the challenges, and how you will be able to manage them.
So another thing which dulls our mind, other than AI, is a good heavy lunch. So I just hope I'll not go too technical, I'll keep it a bit light. And of course I will go into that, but before that I think let me talk a bit about our strategy. And just to give you an example, I got up this morning, I booked a cab on an online app. I zipped into the airport, I had Digi Yatra. on the way to the airport, I stopped at this, morning coffee. I took out a 500 rupee note. He said, "Sir, UPI nahi hai kya?" So I paid him on UPI. I got into the flight, came out, booked another cab, and I was here. A couple of days ago, my daughter went for a passport, done in a matter of days. Got an appointment online. 2 days, passport was in her hand. Yesterday, like a good IT, I filed my IT return. Within an hour, it was done. So, point I'm trying to make is digital India is deeply entrenched, and I've visited a few other countries. I don't think any other country has this kind of a digital entrenchment. Now, if 1.4 billion people can do it, I'm sure this can be replicated in the MSMEs. Now, there's a McKinsey study which says, 85 to 90% of the manufacturing leaders, they want to do digital. Everybody now, that's the buzzword, let's do something digital. Only 17% actually do something about it. And I think 2% actually are the lighthouses who've had a step-up change. So at ITC, and we have a strategy, we call it the D5.0, which is digitization. So try and keep everything that you have, your logbooks, because data is the new oil. So put it digitized. Either you have a pad, or if you can't afford a pad, just put your logbook onto an Excel. So that's what we're doing. Next, D is digitalization. So connect all your machines, your PLCs, get that data, integrate it, what we call line integration. The next is what we call the Digifi, integrate your IT and OT. So your now all your machine data, all your logbooks, all your OE data, as Anup was mentioning, is now available to you on your IT platforms. So that is your Digifi. The fourth one is called the Digibuy, or Digital Business Intelligence. Now this is where you slice and dice your data, you analyze it, and then this is where the ROI comes in. And of course, the most important part of the D5.0 is the digital culture. So you can have fantastic dashboards, Fourier transforms, but at the end of the day, the guy using it is an ITI or a boiler operator. So you have to have that buy-in. And I think this is very important for the MSMEs, that the buy-in is the most important part of the, then that's where we've burnt our fingers, but that is the most important part. You have to upskill that guy, that foot soldier on the ground. So this is what we call the D5.0 approach. Now, I think some of you might ask, this requires a lot of money, I think, like Atisha was saying. Where is the capex for this kind of a D5.0 approach? Now, I think what we've learned, and across with our MSMEs also, is that don't choose a technology and then fit a problem into it. Okay, because don't take a platform and say, this is going to solve, I install this is going to solve all my problems. It won't. He'll give you a very nice dashboard, which you can show when your CEO is visiting, but that's about it. So you need to have, you need to identify the problem. And most often, what we have seen is, we don't know what the problem is. So typically what we did is, what we can do with a whole lot of MSMEs and all, is do a value streaming. Where is your problem? And in manufacturing, it's normally LPF, labor, power, fuel, and maybe your material variances. So identify the problem. And I'll give you one example, a very simple example. For those of you who know the electrical part, there is something called a contract demand, which is your maximum that your factory can withdraw from the grid. And based on that, each state government charges a varying fixed demand charge that you pay. So it varies from 450 rupees per kVA to 200 rupees per kVA. And when you have a 1 megawatt factory, it's a big amount. So all we did was we put a IoT-based sensor smart meter on our feeders. It costs around 4,000 bucks. Maybe you put 3 or 4 of them, and it'll give you a trend of your demand that you have throughout the day. So you just slice, you analyze that, trend that, and we found that you could optimize your contract demand. And when we implemented this 4,000 into, let's say, 10 factories, or not even 4 to 5 lakhs, we were able to save almost 3 crores year on year. So it does,
In one unit.
Yes,
demand unit.
yes, because you save, you don't pay, instead of 2 MVA, we brought it down to 1.5 MVA. So 500 kVA into 400 is a big amount.
Very
So the intent is you don't need to build a spaceship, and that is not digitization. You're going to choose your technology to solve the problem. And that is simple, math, like you were saying. And like Vadha was saying, it's all about show me the money, honey. And that's where, and that when you get this benefit, that will sustain your other technologies. So what we've done with our MSMEs, and we have a huge ecosystem of MSMEs because I think we have, in foods, for example, we have 12 owned factories and around 90 odd contract manufacturing factories. So that's a huge footprint. So what we've done is, we've, again, what Vadas was talking about, cluster digitization. So I piloted a project in one of my factories, and any success, for example, we had the yield losses. So we did a simple yield calculation. We weighed every noodle that was coming out, okay, and then we calculated the losses. And then we focused, we found out where that workstation was, where there were maximum losses. And we sensorized only that workstation. I don't need to, build a spaceship out of my noodle line. So when we sensorized that, we got data from that line. And when we piloted it in one factory, and we found that that was a success, so replicated it across 30 other factories. So look at the problem, find a technology which solves that, and nowadays you will get optimized technologies that are SaaS-based solutions where you don't need big number crunching computers on-prem. You can just put them onto the cloud. They will analyze it for you. It's a SaaS application, and so those are quick wins. So quick wins will then fund your future technology. So the minute you do that, then maybe what we did was next put on these IoT sensors which detect vibrations and predict the state of the equipment. So you're able to now, basis the threshold, whether it is current-based or vibration-based, you can then predict an oncoming failure and save huge production losses and equipment failures. So, short wins, quick wins will get a buy-in not only from the guy on the ground because he sees his productivity coming up, your PLI is going up. So he sees his productivity, he's able to do his job better. There is motivation. So that funds your next, and then you move to slightly more capex, and then when you get some ROI on that, move to a slightly higher thing called the digital twin. So that's what we are doing. It's a self-sustaining process. You don't need a huge capex investment, create a spaceship, and then expect things to happen. So that was our strategy. Of course, you would have heard of the iconic Each of All many years ago, 25-year-old story where the internet was given to the farmer. The farmer could then see the price of wheat and sell it. And ITC bought that wheat. So Each of All has now become ITC Mars, where it's a simple app that is given to the farmer. He is told, okay, this is the sample, we have something called the accelerated sapling growth. He's given that technology. He's also that simple app in vernacular language. He's able to communicate. He doesn't need to be too educated. The app then tells him about oncoming weather situations in this age of climate change and rapid time. So he's told, he's warned. He's also given the pricing of wheat or whatever that is he's selling, what is the best price, what is the optimum. So in one mobile, on a simple app, he's now able to replicate that, scale that technology. So the idea is that you don't need big money, you just need a focused approach, and it has to be a top-down driven approach. And most important of all, what we learned is the buy-in of the people in the MSMEs. The minute they realize that what they're doing it's not going to cost them their job, because that fear is also there that if this technology comes, I will lose my job. It's only going to help him do his job better. So if that thought is entrenched into his mind, we found that you can do wonders.
Thanks a lot. And interestingly, before coming to this session, we in the team of the Technology Center, we are discussing. We have a Technology Center at Bhopal. We are just starting the operation. The electricity bill every month is around 13 lakhs. So we are thinking the same way, how to reduce that can be brought to the 6 lakh also for the similar setup.
Yeah,
So-
you could send it to us. We won't charge you much for consultants.
Thanks a lot. Sure, we will do that.
Is this your Govindpura thing?
Govindpur Technology Center, which is
Sir, I've been wanting to visit this place.
Please, so GM is here itself, so we will arrange your visit, sir. Sir, moving on to the institute, there is a very interesting case of SISME, which is a LA-based institute, Los Angeles in the US. Interestingly, it was established in a public-private partnership mode, which I understood, correct me if I'm wrong. And we have technology centers, which are to an extent working to some extent towards AI/ML, but not to the way they should work for the industry manufacturing. Can we think something institution like SISME on a public-private, any private institution joining our technology center, working on that? Your experience in implementing the institute, whether it can be replicated in the country as per your experience, and the experience of SISME working in any SME in US or Europe, which can be replicated here. Sir.
Yeah, no, hopefully I'll be able to address all of those, but I think I have one observation to make, and hopefully this is working.
Yeah.
Yeah. One observation to make is that my fellow panelists here have articulated a lot of things that are common across the world. So this is not an India thing, right? I mean, everything that they said is actually common to all countries trying to do smart manufacturing, particularly for small and medium manufacturers. So in our experience, the storytelling part comes first. And I was telling a couple of young people here that when you're trying to sell technology, storytelling is important. But you have to flip the story around, and you have to first make it relevant for who you're talking to. If you're talking to a small manufacturer and you start with saying that I have an ML solution or an AI solution, they will back off, right? They'll say this is not for me, right? If you go to a large company, yes, they have internal talent, internal expertise to understand what those technologies are, so they can listen to you, they can take it and adopt it. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So in our institute, so we're a public-private institute. We have about 60% of our membership is industry, and then we have academia as part of it. So we bring them together to do these collaborative projects that work on two angles. One is a problem that is common across an industry sector that no single company can solve, right? So you're providing an ecosystem to solve it. But the other thing that does, which is more important, is that for small manufacturers and small companies who don't have internal expertise, who don't have the internal financial power to do these things, we provide a safe haven for them. So let's say you bring a small manufacturer in, you bring a technology provider in, and they're trying to solve a problem, they do it in that safe haven. So the government can provide that sort of an environment and say that you don't have to worry about your data, you don't have to worry about your technology going out, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to invest in the technology pieces, you don't have to invest in machines. We'll bring people together and you can try things out. And if it works, then you're on your way, right? The second thing I'll say is that when you talk about Industry 4.0, smart manufacturing, machine learning, robotics, all that stuff, you don't have to do everything, you know, but you have to get started somewhere. So pick something and get started. That's like the biggest step that you can take. So I'll give you one example. We had a small manufacturer in New York, state of New York. They didn't have internal, they're like maybe 7 people in the company, and they make these nutrition bars. You know, you open them up and when you're hungry, maybe not now, but later on at tea time. And they were getting defects that were just killing them. So if you picked up a nutrition bar that came out of the line and you picked it up, it would just droop. 30% of their product was showing that, and they were just, you know, wiping their profits out. But they didn't have an internal, you know, person who had the knowledge of understanding what was actually going on. We hooked them up with a consultant, we hooked them up with a academic institution, and within 6 months, They implemented a very simple solution, no AI, no ML, nothing, right? Just installing sensors in the right places in the process, visualizing the data, and then making a change. Their 30% reject rate went to 0 in 6 months. So again, now they're curious, oh, can we do something with some predictive technology? Now say, can we predict the problem? We've solved the problem, now can we predict when it's going to happen again? Then you go into ML and AI and all that stuff, but it's like you have to start somewhere, right? The other thing is that it is important to understand that not every problem can be solved just by yourself, right? So make sure that you use entities that are present here and through the government of India that you can leverage, that they can actually help. They can help get you connected with other people who can help solve problems with you, right? So don't do it alone. And I always say that if you break it down, if you break down the problem, you'll be better off doing that. But don't do it without having a larger plan in mind. Otherwise, you'll solve that problem and that'll be it, right? You won't be able to actually move forward. In terms of what can be done to set up an institute like that in India, I mean, everything boils down to money, right? So, but I think the successful models are where you have investment coming not just from the federal government or central government, in the case of India, central government, state government, but also manufacturers themselves. How can they put in some skin in the game, right? So we've done something like the money comes in from the federal government, it's assisted by the state government, but then the manufacturers and the technology providers, they bring in their own in-kind ways of contributing. So they can have free software available, for example, or they donate machines for small manufacturers who can then come together and solve the problems, right? Or they can provide expertise, subject matter expertise. And when you bring those things together, now you have a place where they can come and they can feel comfortable that, yes, I don't have to solve it myself. I have actually an institute that can help me, right? So that's really the model.
Thank you, sir. Should we open the floor for the questions, sir? Or?
Yeah, just to so Dr. Shukla is here from the QCI, and the government also, the ministry is running a program on which goes by the name of Zero Effect, Zero Defect. And so now we are contemplating to redevelop that program and bring in elements of AI. So what you have just explained to us how you were able to reduce those defects by a simple thing. So maybe we can take some cues from here and and in any case, we were contemplating bringing AI into the Z certification. So maybe we can have an offline conversation as well and then take this. Yeah.
Sure. Sir, should we open the floor?
Yeah.
So the floor is open for the questions if there is any.
Yes,
Please.
ma'am.
I was expecting.
Chini, the microphone.
Oh. Microphone.
Ma'am, you can cover it. You come here. You can just speak. Yeah, over there, the mic is here.
It's not actually a question, that's okay. So there are a couple of observations of what we are talking about. So one was the collaborative approach towards technology or data, because I come from data side. So one thing that I thought, that the very first thing which was said, that you should be courageous about sharing your data. Many of the times we have a lot of information with us, we have a lot of data with us, but every stage everybody is skeptical about sharing data. So I think that was one learning which all of us have to do. Again, about the AI mission, sir, I think I should inform that we had a preliminary meeting. The policy division also had a preliminary meeting with India AI mission, and so we will be, discussing it more, and we'll see how we can. And with because we have data, and we have data which is little sensitive, so we'll decide how to share and how to go about it. But incidentally, on that aspect, I was also wanting to share that I come from statistical services, and in the Ministry of Statistics there is an experiment going on which is called data labs, So data labs is not about the technology, but it is an interesting concept in terms of India does have a lot of data requirement, and there are a lot of data gaps in the official statistical system. So what they have done is they have created a platform where the official statisticians and the academia, the researchers who are working on Indian data are coming together. There is a sharing of problem statements. And then once you share a problem statement, then anybody can pick up that problem statement saying, I want to solve this. And depending on that understanding of the two parties, as of now only the official statistical system is sharing with the, say, academia or the research bodies, and you can say that, well, I want to solve this problem, and based on that understanding, the data sets are shared, even those data sets are which are generally not in the
what is
public
it called?
domain.
Data labs?
Data lab. So that is one concept which can be explored, and a similar data, similar experiment I recently saw when I was in Singapore for a training on supply chain resilience. So we visited what they call Republic Polytechnic, which is somewhere more than our technology centers, where they do a lot of innovation for the for the SMEs primarily. Advanced innovation in robotics and AI. So again, the same thing they discuss with MSME associations or SME associations, or even small companies directly, understand their technology requirements and then create automation or automation solutions. So I think those were a couple of things which even we can. And one more thing which I have understood in last 2 years, sir, lean is probably not the lean as a program, but lean as a philosophy is something that should be or can be the first step, beginning step of MSMEs. Once you have things in order, I've seen in my previous postings also have been associated with annual survey of industry programs, and I've visited lots of shop floors. So the ones which are neat and which are lean work efficiently, irrespective of technology or no technology. So I think, and the moment you have a lean philosophy, then you automatically go on, making it more efficient. So that is probably the beginning of. So whenever we do a technology orientation, that philosophy I think is something that we have to start with. That was, and thank you for a very good insight. In fact, I was listening to the last speaker, and I immediately thought of Republic Polytechnic, and I thought, yeah, some kind of experiment. Maybe our technology centers are here, and we can initiate that. Thank you, sir.
So if you permit me, I'd just like to add on to what ma'am has said. Now, yes, data security.
There's a chair.
Yeah. Data security is important, but from the MSME perspective, not every data is important. It needs to be encrypted. For example, boiler pressure, pump pressure. So encrypt or provide security to the data. For example, in food manufacturing, that could be the recipe that we wouldn't want to share. So you don't have to protect the entire data set. Okay, so that's how we optimize our cloud costs.
That's also very good. Somebody is making an outcome report on this now. So all this is very important. They are good. चलिए ठीक है. Any other?
Sir has to say something.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving me the floor. Now I go back to the.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, sir.
I wanted her to listen to what I have to say.
Ma'am.
No, I'm just. Sir, please. No, please. Please. No. No. You took me very seriously. You shouldn't take me seriously. No. Okay. So one quick point around the data security. So what we do with our manufacturing data base is that we tell them that, look here, the secret data that you want is always going to be at a layer where it's not going to be visible even to the MES system or even the higher level systems, right? So for doing analytics in the cloud, you necessarily don't need the real-time data every millisecond anyway. And that's where your recipes are. So what we do is first give them that comfort, saying that, that's not going to be touched. And you as a subject matter expert will tell us what is relevant above and beyond that. And that has worked. So I think those types of discussions just need to take place with the manufacturer.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for staying back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we close?
नहीं बस Yeah, there's another question? Okay, no.
Any more questions, sir, from the audience? Okay, thank you very much, sir. This session was very insightful, especially where we heard about the adoption of Industry 4.0 by the MSMEs and how that a clustered approach and the focused approach is good, and especially the digital culture which has to go down to the last worker in the MSME sector. So I thank you all very much for your precious time that you have given us, sir. As a token of our respect and our appreciation, I request Ms. Divya Singh to present a small gift to the gift hamper to the. So this is a gift hamper of assorted things from the Khadi and village industries, sir. To the chair, Atish, sir.
I don't need this. Thank you. Thank you, bye.
To Shri Arun Gopalaswamy. Shri Anup Wadhwaji. Shri Malkani. And Shri Rai, our moderator, sir. Thank you very much, Divya. Thank you very much, sir. So we can have a photo session here, sir.
Okay.
आगे यहाँ पे। Thank you very much, sirs. We come to the end of the first panel discussion, and in a few minutes we start the second one. This panel discussion is about enhancing MSME competitiveness through adoption of quality initiatives. We are all aware that adopting quality initiatives significantly enhances the competitiveness of MSMEs. By embracing quality management systems like the ISO standards, lean manufacturing, technology upgrades, MSMEs can improve their quality, streamline their operations, reduce waste, and ultimately become more competitive in the global market. To take the proceedings forward, I now invite to the dais Shri Vinamra Mishra ji, Director, Ministry of MSME, to chair the panel.
ये नितिशा मान
It's okay, it's okay.
सर फिर यस ऑलरेडी रखे
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Dr. Ramanand Shukla ji, Senior Director and Head, National Division for Industry Excellence, Quality Council of India, to please occupy his seat on the dais. A round of applause, please. Thank you, sir. I invite Shri S.K. Verma, Scientist F, and Head CMD2 in the Bureau of Indian Standards, to kindly occupy his seat on the dais. May I now invite Shri Gaurav Bawa, Senior Vice President, Vika Instruments Private Limited, to join the panel. Thank you, sir. I now take the privilege to call upon Shri Vinod Sharma, Managing Director, Deki Electronics Limited.
So he might join in between.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Then I now invite Ms. Nitisha Man, who will be the moderator of this panel. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, I'll now leave the panel. Floor to you.
A very good evening, everyone. Let me begin by first introducing everyone. So we'll start with the chairperson for the second technical session. It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you all yet once again Shri Vinamra Mishra, Director, Ministry of MSME, Government of India. Sir is a senior IRSME officer with extensive experience in technical management, project execution and policy implementation. Sir is currently anchoring externally aided programs with multilateral agencies like World Bank, ADB, UNIDO to enhance the competitiveness of MSMEs. Sir also serves as the nodal officer for flagship programs of the Ministry for Technological Upgradation like the Zero Defect, Zero Effect Scheme, Incubation Scheme, IPR Scheme, Design Scheme, Digital MSME and Lean Manufacturing Program for the MSMEs. So please give him a round of applause. I now take pleasure in introducing Dr. Ramanand N. Shukla. Sir is the Senior Director and Head of the National Division for Industry Excellence, Quality Council of India. He is a dynamic and accomplished leader with over 25 years of experience spearheading quality, business excellence, and organizational transformation initiatives across diverse sectors. He is known for his exceptional ability to orchestrate complex multi-stakeholder projects in fast evolving environments, delivering impactful results through collaboration with central and state governments, and he has a proven expertise in designing and strategizing large-scale projects, driving governance, performance, and sectoral competitiveness. I welcome you, sir. I now take privilege in introducing to you Shri S.K. Verma. He's a scientist with the Bureau of Indian Standards. He's an accomplished professional with a BTech in Civil Engineering from NIT Calicut, MTech from IIT Kharagpur, and an MBA from FMS Delhi, bringing over 28 years of rich experience at BIS in product certification, standard formulation, and management system certification. Next, we have with us Shri Gaurav Baba. He's the Senior Vice President, Vaika Instruments India Private Limited. He's a mechanical engineer and an MBA from IMT, a seasoned business leader with deep expertise in quality management, Six Sigma, and precision engineering. With experience at Eicher, GE, and Schneider, he now leads Vaika India, overseeing 4 plants and driving strategic growth. He is recognized as a best leader. He was recognized as a best leader to watch out for in 2024 by CEO magazine, and also serves on the Chandigarh University's Corporate Advisory Board. Welcome, sir. Shall I wait, sir, for Vinod, sir, to join?
No, you can continue. He might join.
Okay, okay. So would you like to give a very brief context, or do we directly start?
I can start directly.
Okay, okay. So, sir, quality has always been a strategic differentiator and is obviously now also a key identifier for any kind of a business activity. And there is also an increasing awareness and expectations among consumers across the world, which makes it very imperative for us to assess and also increase the quality readiness of MSMEs. As I mentioned in my introduction, sir, you are the nodal officer for Z, which is this ministry's flagship scheme and also seminal in terms of providing support for increasing the quality standards, quality certification. So, sir, I'll start by asking you that since its launch in 2016, recently we saw some changes in Z scheme. So, sir, why don't you share with us what are the novelties in this revised version? What impact do you visualize at the ground level in terms of the uptake and the qualitative parameter aspects, and what was the intent behind doing the same, sir?
Thank you, Nitisha. Obviously, this is the last panel of a long day. So let me almost be in a storytelling mode kind of way in which I can, let you know as to how we can go about doing this enhancement of quality adoption amongst the MSME. So I'll start with not the exact quote, but a quote by Newton, which says that people always remember you not by how quickly you made a product, but how well you made that product. And there are quite a few myths about quality. I mean, quality, usually people understand that quality is a quality if the product is of good quality, but actually it's a great myth. I mean, if the processes are taken care of, if there is a quality, if the processes, or if the product is segregated into various different processes, and the processes are are having quality, the product is automatically be going to be a quality product. And the second thing is quality. People really believe that it is a set of parameters that one should adhere to, and so you will be able to achieve quality. But rather than that, it's rather a culture where the quality consciousness then comes into the picture, and the fact that it should be the quality culture has to be top driven and should be assimilated in the bottoms up approach. So these two myths are the ones which basically makes us understand as to how the quality adoption should be approached. And the good quality obviously helps anyone to win customers. We are looking currently at a whole lot of internal customers, and when we talk of our country, but a lot of MSMEs are also into the supply chain of various export houses, and there are few MSMEs who are also directly exporting. So quality would not only help them win customers within the country, build that confidence amongst the customers, but also make them help export. And so inculcation and adoption of quality is obviously of paramount importance, and therefore we should inculcate this culture of quality in the MSMEs, and that is why this Power Pack panel is here to deliberate as to how. And but obviously we know about the MSMEs, we know about the limited finances, the small profit margins, the resources that they have. They cannot actually look beyond the day-to-day work, and so any capital expenditure, maybe an eye on the future, on the planning aspect is rather takes a backseat. So that's the challenge that the MSMEs face. And so coming back to your question, when we started thinking about the Z program, obviously our joint secretary is the one who is the top driver of this program. And when we both started thinking about rehashing the original Z, we had a lot of stakeholders consultations. We also had various policy makers who came to us, and we discussed a lot of things about this policy, about this program. And we came to the conclusion that the Z program, which was erstwhile running, was a great program in the sense that it had complete coverage of all the quality aspects that the program should ideally have. But because of the intrinsic challenges that the MSMEs have, there is no pull effect in the program. We are continuously pushing the MSMEs into adopting or taking up the program, and there is no pull in the program which can actually make them realize as to although the quality is important, but why should they take it up? So there were a lot of pulls which were created. Obviously, I would not dwell deep into it because the person from the QCI, Dr. Ramanan Shukla, who is now the driver of this program from the ministry side, will get into the further details. But there were a lot of incentives which were built around it, and so we thought that once these incentives are there in place, the MSMEs are going to take it up as part of taking, as an intention of taking those incentives into their system. And once that happens, because they are Z certified and that they will be going through they'll be walking those dotted lines of conforming to the various parameters, they are going to improve the process quality, as I said. And then the process quality will take care of the product. And so this entire transformation of Z, of the current Z program which came into being, has happened where, there is no comparison. There is a paradigm shift in terms of numbers. There is a lot of major impacts which we have also witnessed, and we are currently having an assessment of what all impact it has been able to deliver on ground. But sheer numbers, around 400 odd certifications to around more than 2.7 lakh certifications, tells a story in itself. And then under the guidance of our secretary, sir, we also only last about 10 months ago, we launched the Z 2.0, where we increased our engagement with the micro units. We know that although the bronze certification was pretty well patronized, but there were few things where we want, and also it was obviously taken up more by the micro units. So we needed to increase that engagement. We needed to improve their interaction with our assessors and experts into making them take that the entire journey of Z. And so we included a few parameters. We upgraded the Z bronze certificate we included a couple of parameters which ensured that the parameters, once they are confirmed, the MSMEs are bound to talk to the experts and bound to take up these quality measures. And also we included an element of surveillance audit into the program. So these two factors made sure that not only it was an online quick certification, but also a lot of engagement happened between the assessors, the experts, and the micro units. And obviously we are yet to assess and the impact of it, but we've again taken up the same pace with which it was, the Z was after Z 2.0. Obviously, we also thought that the implementation might be a challenge. The numbers might not come up to the levels on the same pace which it was going earlier. But now we are again back to the same levels, and the MSMEs have again taken Z 2.0 with equal gusto. And so we are doing good. So that's, I mean, that's all I would like to share as of now. But obviously, there I think the expert from BIS would also let us know as to how the parameters are set and how the entire quality ecosystem is there. So I would stop here and maybe come back later.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Whenever we think of standards and certification, one name that comes to our mind, I think, just impromptu, is BIS, the Bureau of Indian Standards. So I would like to know from Shri S.K. Verma, sir. Sir, what is the role? Thank you. What is the role that BIS, as sir is just said, in the quality ecosystem of India's manufacturing? And what steps, sir, does BIS take to ensure that there is adequate infrastructure in terms of labs, access to necessary testing facilities, whenever there is a new QCO, quality control order, which is notified, because recently there's been a lot of discussion around it. So I would like to know or hear from you regarding that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, and good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, I would like to, congratulate every one of you on this momentous day, and that is MSME Day 2025. As most of you would be knowing, but still for the benefit of all, I would like to inform you that we are into certification, not only certification, but initially we start with standard formulation. First of all, we should have the standard for the product. Then only we can certify that product based on that standard. So by making that standard itself, all the expert committees are there. Experts from all the field and experts from all the stakeholder also, including the MSMEs also obviously through their association. So they participate in a standard formulation activity, and they contribute from their own experience in the standard itself. Okay, so while making the standard, they know that what are the parameters which will be there in the standard and against which the testing will be done. So that is basically standard formulation activity, and based on this standard itself, we do all kind of certification. Obviously, we have many schemes, certification schemes, but the most popular one is the one for which we give license and they put ISI mark on the product. So that is the most popular one. So this is one aspect, making the standard, and then the other one, the most important one, which right now I am talking, that is giving the license. So from my experience, I can tell you that all this MSME, particularly when we say MSME, majority of them are, from my experience, I can say majority of them are micro scale level only. Micro scale or mostly small scale or micro scale. Even medium scale are also very less. One data I can give you that in BIS for ISI mark scheme, we are having around 50,000 licenses as of now. Okay. So out of this 50,000, you can very well understand 83% of them are from MSME. Just only 12 to 13% are basically large scale units. And most of these units, these MSME units, are basically run by a single person. Very less knowledge is there, just the show is basically run by one single person, and he would be the owner also. So very less qualified persons are there in the factories. And obviously, learning about the standard is not that easy for them. obviously investing money in R&D and all are, that's a, very, very difficult for them because they do not have that much of capital to invest in that. So basically, they also do not have the advantage of what the large scale are having. For example, they are having, advantage of economics of scale, economics of scope, then learning curves, and all those management principle advantage they are having because they are large scale unit. Okay, the multinational units are also having that kind of advantage, but they are not having. So the cost of the product obviously will go high for MSMEs. So how to compete with them? They have to go to the ultimately to the market. The consumer will, purchase the product. And we have a, in the back of the mind, we always have a kind of thing that if we purchase a product which are actually manufactured by a prominent, manufacturer, then it will be of good quality. So it is very difficult for MSME to, propagate that our product is also good. So for them, if the product is ISI mark, that's a basically brand name. That our product is also ISI mark. So this is obviously at par with the quality which large scale manufacturers are making. So when we bring in QCO, actually the line ministries, BIS doesn't bring QCO. The line ministry, all the ministry, for example, Ministry of Steel, Ministry of DCPC, Ministry of Petroleum, and then Ministry of Textile, all these ministries are bringing this quality control orders. Okay. So while making this quality control order, initially they start with, obviously they will have discussion with BIS, what is the testing facility available in the country, and other infrastructure which are there, which will be required, that is whether available or not. So when we say, okay, we have or may not be, sometimes we may not be having the infrastructure also, laboratory also, but normally this, laboratory issue, because of the lack of laboratory, we had never any situation that license cannot be given. Obviously, this is a business issue. So whenever, this laboratory get a business, they will create the facility. Initially, it will be the testing charges will be more, but with time, obviously, they will reduce the charges also. So for lack of test facility, there had never had been a situation that we cannot give you the license. And nowadays, there are so many benefits which we are giving to the MSME sector. You will be really surprised. The marking fee itself, the financial benefit which we are giving to the MSMEs, that is huge. For micro scale units, our licensing fee, whatever licensing fee is there, basically that's a no profit, no loss base marking fee. Okay, we just charge the testing charges we incur during monitoring of the license and all. No, so we charge only that much amount. Testing, some administrative charges are there, some minimum marking fee every year we charge. So that is the cost we incur. So that's a no profit, no loss basis. So that charges also we have reduced by 80%. Only 20% we are charging for micro level. For small scale, we are charging only 50%, and for medium scale, obviously we are charging around 80%. Other whatever charges, we are charging the large scale industry. So this is the financial benefit which we are giving. Yes. In the laboratory, the big, the hue and cry was there from the MSMEs that when we give license, we always say that we should have complete testing facility which is required as per the Indian standard, that particular standard. Okay, so that was the big issue that always comes after when QCO comes. Yes. So in majority of the cases when QCO comes, we give this kind of benefit for the MSMEs, especially the micro level units. That okay, you can just get the license without the test facility also, but then you have to make some tie-up with some lab. Some lab, maybe it's a BIS approved lab or any NABL lab or any BIS impaneled lab. You can have, or you can also share testing facility with your sister concern or any BIS licensee. So many facility we have given. Okay. Initially you can have that, and later on, maybe after a year or two, when you have money, you can create your test facility, and then you can start testing in your in-house. But then your product should pass, obviously, because we would be drawing samples from the market, right, and that has to conform to the Indian standard. So that is one aspect. So apart from these financial benefits, we are giving lot of technical know-how to the this MSME units through our branch offices also. Our branch offices are scattered all through India. And they are doing lot of training to this MSME, quality control personnel, we do capsule course kind of thing. So product specific training we give, that this is the standard, and how we will do the testing and all. Then we take them to laboratory, their quality control person, to
So you're
some
taking care of
laboratory
the
to
awareness part
demonstrate how
also.
the testing is being done. So that kind of training we are almost on monthly basis we are giving throughout the branches. So this kind of thing we are doing, and for ease of learning the standard, because really learning the standard is a difficult task. It's actually for the qualified person also it becomes difficult sometimes, because the language is like that. IC standard would be the toughest one, then slightly below it will come ISO standard, and then Indian standard is a little bit easier than these two standards. But still that's difficult. This is my personal experience, what industry people say. So they obviously come to us for getting to know what these clauses mean. So for ease of that, what we do is, we based on the standard, we have made some product manual also. And in that product manual, we have described that these are the testing which you have to do. And this should be the frequency at which you should do the testing. And apart from this, we have also said that these are the test equipment which will be required in your laboratory based on this standard. So you don't have to go through the standard, you just see the testing facility, what are required, and then you can create a laboratory in your unit. Okay. So all these things. Apart from this, we have also said what would be the scope of the license which we would be granting to you based on the standard that we have specified. So they will come to know that this will be the scope. And if they have to get the license for many varieties, what should be the minimum testing requirement that would be required. So for that we have made some grouping guideline kind of thing. Okay. So suppose there are so many variety in the standard, so they need not go for testing of all the variety. You can have testing as per the guideline, grouping guidelines, just get the testing for few items, and then they can have the license of majority of the variety in the standard. So those kind of things we have done. And some of the BO level database also we have created. Because when QCO comes, the MSMEs, they will not come forward. So what we have done recently in the last 1 year, I would say 1 year or 1.5 years, we have created a database for all these MSMEs and their associations also.
Okay.
So they are not our licensees. They are not our licensees. We have created a database of non-licensees. We have got the information from many places, even MSME sites, our licensee, the industry association, even through the newspaper fellows. We have got information from all of them, and we have created a database, and based on that database, whenever one QCO comes, so we target that kind of industry for which this QCO or this standard will be applicable. So we target those industry, and we try to give at least one session for them.
You reach out to them?
Yes, we reach out to them so that they can have a beforehand, knowledge of the standard and how the license granting procedure the VIs will have, so that they can prepare for that. We also tell them that this is the, when QCO comes, obviously that product becomes mandatory. Without the ISI mark you cannot make. Yes. So we also tell them this is the last date, before that you should prepare and get the license, VIS license. Okay. So all of these things we are doing, and we have been successful also. Of course, whenever this QCO comes, there are a lot of challenges. Creating test facility itself becomes a very difficult thing, because first, if some product is coming first time for the certification, it's a real challenge. It is like, giving the first license is making a pathway in the jungle for the first time. And for the other fellows, it becomes very, very easy. For that also, we have procedure, we have, made very flexible, that they may get partially tested in their factory, whatever test facility is there, and remaining tests, they can get it tested from BIS approved lab. If it is not possible to, do the complete testing in one lab, they can have in 2 labs also. So ultimately the requirement is they have to get complete testing done as per the standard. So that is how we give the license, and we have been successful also, because in the last financial year probably every alternate day we have been able to give one license, one new product that is coming in our fold. Last year we have granted, last financial year, 130 new product license, obviously because of these QCOs and all.
It's great to know, sir. Great to know you're also taking care not just of the technical part, but also the non-technical part.
Yes, yes. And we have been successful also. I can give you one example in TOI case. TOI, actually, this certification came in 2000, year 2000. Okay. So in this TOI case, they are very, very small units, mostly micro scale units. So initially we started, they should have that test facility. Then we learned in the process itself, we learned that, okay, they are very small, they cannot have this complete lab. So then we, changed our guidelines also that without testing facility, they can share it with their fellow, licensees. So those kind of, relaxation we have given. And if you just compare we compared one data from 2012-13 to 22-23, almost 9 to 10 years data. We have seen the quality of product. When the product of the quality was tested in 12-13, 67% were not conforming to the Indian standard. And you see the data of 22-23, it is only 16%. Okay. But still 16% is there, but there is a drastic reduction in non-compliance. So this is one success story. Even the export has increased and import has reduced. If you go in monetary terms, probably if you club these two, we have saved almost 3,000 crores in terms of rupees.
Massive success.
So, yes,
then.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
So
Thank
this
you
is
so
one
much, sir.
small success story I can tell.
Thank you. Thank you for that,
you
sir.
so much.
Great to know about your achievements in this field and your contributions. Moving on, Quality Council of India is one of India's premier organizations relating to all quality-related aspects. And we understand that quality, needs to be a priority to build credibility, let's say improve competitiveness, or even to foray into the international markets. So I would like to know from Dr. Ramanand Shukla, sir, what in your experience has been the impact of schemes like Z and Lean in terms of increasing or pivoting the growth trajectory of quality in Indian manufacturing?
Yeah, thank you for the question. In fact, if we look at quality, now quality basically in what I believe is non-negotiable. See, we've been hearing about MSMEs, the statistics that we look at. So MSMEs not only add to the GDP or bring employment, but they are silent drivers of resilience, innovation, and local empowerment. Now, having said that, all their contribution, what I've seen, many of these progressive MSMEs is struggling in this market, which is, every day is becoming increasingly more demanding and also globalized. So that is where the struggle is. And I believe the answer or the potent weapon that MSMEs can use is quality to address this challenge. Because ultimately it is the customer demand. Every day it is getting stringent and more stringent. So therefore, quality has to be the cornerstone for any MSME if it wants to really build credibility, become competitive, or become really a resilient organization. So certainly quality is non-negotiable. And coming to the schemes like Z or Lean, I believe these are very powerful schemes, and thanks to Atishji and Vinamji who've been guiding force about these schemes. So the way these models have been constructed, they are very holistic models. Like for example, Z is a very holistic model which not only brings quality to the MSMEs, but also safety, environment, CSR, and all these cogs which are very important for any organization to become competitive. So Lean and Z, they have been acting like catalysts to transform the MSMEs. And if we look at Z specifically, a holistic program, but it has been bringing in a structured approach to the MSMEs in quality, safety, environment, and reliability. On the other hand, what Lean is helping the MSMEs with is eliminating waste, becoming more operationally efficient, and becoming more profitable. So that is how Z and Lean, both these schemes, are actually transforming our MSMEs day by day. We have seen a lot of examples. In fact, if I have to share some data, when we started, when the scheme was launched in its new avatar in 2020-22, so almost 70%, we are right now around at around 3,20,000 and odd certifications. But if I look at 70% of the MSMEs, they lack the basic amenities, like not amenities, but basic necessities like fire extinguishers, which is a legal requirement. So now that is the reality. And with Z, we have been able to sensitize the MSMEs on these legal requirements or safety, basic safety requirements, basic things like training the employees. So Z has been very transformative, bringing in these kind of changes. Another unique part of Z is that we have a parameter specifically designed for the model that is about product testing and certification. Now, as BIS, we just heard from Mr. Verma that there are around 50,000 licenses given. Now, one of the ironies is around this comes through a lot of studies from McKinsey and EY and all that stuff, that around 70% of the MSMEs do not even know that there is something like testing that exists. And that is an irony. When we are into manufacturing and we don't know what testing is all about, that becomes a challenge. So that's why in the Z model, we specifically brought up this parameter so that MSMEs, at least when they start looking at the requirements, they would realize that there is something called testing, there is something called product safety or certification, and they start going with it. And with the guidance of the ministry, there are a lot of pulls that were created, as Viramji mentioned. Initially, there were no pulls or incentives. And one of the specific incentives that has been brought in is a financial incentive of around 50,000 rupees for MSMEs that take their products for testing in NAB accredited labs, or they get certifications from BIS. So the entire model or the framework has been created in such a way that it not only helps an MSME to adopt a structured way of operating, but also move towards zero defect through very strategically designed interventions, like for example, the 50,000 worth towards testing, 3 lakh worth of support for zero effect solutions. So a lot of these things have been brought in together. So what I believe is quality certainly is non-negotiable. If we have to really look at Vigyan Bharat, so MSMEs will have to adopt it. And I think ministry with these two schemes has really brought actually game changers within the industry. And I think if we really take this forward, we scale it up. That is the next thing that we are trying to do, is scaling up this. And this is where we need a lot of support. Ministry, certainly government is supportive. The intent is very clear. There is policy push. But I think industry has to play a vital role. The MSMEs have to come forward by themselves. The OEMs, large enterprises, in fact, we have a representative from VICA, and thank you to Mr. Bawa and his team that we have signed an MOU today to adopt Z and Lean in their supply chain of MSMEs. Okay. So that is where I think industry will have to come forward to adopt this for the supply chain, so that we can actually look at a holistic growth and development of entire industrial ecosystem. So that's all from my end for now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we understood from your answer that quality will be a non-negotiable, and it's I feel not just good quality but consistent quality. Absolutely. That will eventually drive and bring about an eventual change. Right. So as you've already mentioned, we have with us here Mr. Gaurav Bawa. Sir, being an OEM, you are linked to a number of MSMEs across the, down the supply chain. So what would be your strategy to ensure that this culture of, quality first is sustained throughout or across this entire value chain that is linked with you?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having us here on such an auspicious and great event. I'd like to share, a personal experience and journey, and then I'll take your question through that, answer the same. I am today the business leader for VICA in India, but earlier I was also the quality leader in a global organization in my previous role as well. What we saw during that period was that, we wanted to also implement Lean, Six Sigma during that time, and 2-3 things which are very critical. One was the entire leadership was trained in all these tools and techniques, because we're talking of a culture. So very clearly you talked about, which is a very important piece, and Dr. Ram here talked about consciousness, and Mr. Mishra talked about it. So to have a culture of quality and everybody speaking the language, firstly the leadership should be trained. We were all trained. As a matter of fact, in a large global organization, it was very clear you could not be promoted unless you were Six Sigma qualified as a black belt or a minimum green belt. So there were green belts, black belts, master black belts. So to that extent, the culture was very clear. You had to be firstly trained. Now training is not good enough. So people were trained, we were all trained. But you need to implement after you're trained. So we had to do 2 projects. which were of high value in the organization. So once we are imparting this training, I think we're doing a great job here and so many resources are being put. We must have people who volunteer into large projects and we certify them through whatever, is a process of the organization. We would like, Vika would like to do the same. We have also in our system black belts who run these projects. So high value projects, once they do those projects, they learn through the process. We heard the lady talked about statistical techniques, very, very important, but unless you use them, it's very difficult, just to learn them through listening to them. So it's very important to implement them. So we were asked to do 2 projects. We had to complete those projects. There's a finance sign off on those projects, how much, there's a minimum 50 lakhs saving. So it depends on the organization, the large organizations where we were there. So we had to do those projects and then we were well trained. The organization had a critical mass of people talking of quality. The reason was there were green belts, black belts, or whatever you say, as Six Sigma, lean culture. So the organization spoke of quality. They spoke of the language of quality. So that was where we talk of consciousness and you talk of how, you implement a culture of quality in the organization. Otherwise, there are few people who are talking about this journey and very, very difficult to implement. So that's what I would say. Looking at Vika today, we have 4 plants in operations. We have 25% of what we do is export out of the country. Whatever is made worldwide in Vika, and we have operations not only in India but everywhere, from Poland to Germany to even in China and elsewhere in the globe. So the quality what we are giving from India is going worldwide. And of course, like Dr. Ram said, it's non-negotiable today. The expectation of the customer is whether the product comes from India or it goes from anywhere else in the world, it has to be of similar quality, absolutely. Right. So to do that, it is very, very critical to have the entire value chain that we have today delivering the same kind of quality that we want to deliver to the final customer. So I think today is a very important day where we also signed the MOU. We take this forward also. But we need to train our suppliers very, very clearly on these tools and techniques. There were times in my last organization also where it was very interesting, where we guys from global organizations would go and do projects at our suppliers' end also to take the quality journey to that extent, do a black belt, green belt project at this, MSME directly from our organization. So the journey has to go to the next level, to the MSMEs, and not only with us. So we need to train them. We need to take the journey forward. We can do a lot from large organizations today where we are trained. We have resources who are trained within the organization, and we can really partner and help take this journey forward throughout, the value chain. So that will be a great partnership. Saying that, another thing which we see very regularly is people do not only buy because of product quality. Today, the transactional quality and the service has become so important. We are seeing it more and more in the industry today. So I might lose certain customers where my service quality, my response time is not very good. It's not only the product quality. And there the lean and other processes in the organization are even of very prime importance. How am I quoting to my customer? How am I, having the entire transaction? So he's looking at every touch point. It's not only the product quality, and it's not only a standard, I'm conforming to a standard. So there is a buying behavior of a customer, and each touch point is very important. And that's why the lean journey is very important, where we are talking of processes, where you're making the product fine, but also transactional processes. How am I quoting, like I said? What is the experience of the turnaround time? How is my documentation after, executing a project? How do I update the customer on a regular basis? So everything has become very important, and that's the quality journey I talk about, is the complete quality experience of the customer, which is very, very critical today. And we see it more and more happening today, that the customer are very upset with the kind of response we give. And especially this is very, very true in the global context, where they're used to a very professional, very accurate response from all of us. So I would sum it up by saying that, the entire customer experience is very, very critical. Right. And that is what we need to build with the MSMEs also in the true form, and we can really work together. Today's a day where we signed the MOU also, and I'm looking forward to that partnership. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So as you said, that 25% exports from your organization.
That's right,
So
that's right.
it does reiterate the fact that fostering this culture of quality first, it's very essential to bolster India's image as a manufacturing hub globally, right?
That's true.
Right. So moving on, I'll first introduce our last panelist for the day, Shri Manoj Sharma. He's a managing director from Deki Electronics Limited. He's a passionate entrepreneur with a more than 25 years experience in shaping Deki Electronics into a world-class film capacitor manufacturer, diversifying now into EV chargers and an innovative parallel battery drive. His enthusiastic value-based participative management and strong customer orientation have ensured over 20% annual growth over the last 2 decades. He is actively serving industry associations like Elsina, ESC and CII, and he was awarded as Electronics Man of the Year by EFI and Elsina EFI, and co-authored Value Magics, a new roadmap to global markets. So please welcome him with a round of applause. Sir, you're the last speaker for the day, and so from the MSME point of view, there is a thought process among business owners, especially MSMEs, that any kind of quality improvement efforts would enhance the cost, making the products non-competitive. So with this context, how does any MSME align their quality goals with the business objectives? And what do you think is one area where MSMEs need the most support to bring about the necessary, quality improvement?
Thank you very much for having me here and for asking me such a very relevant question. As an SME entrepreneur, and I will walk a little bit through my journey very, very quickly to emphasize the point that I want to make. But before that, quality always, at least from an entrepreneurial perspective, is seen as something that is imposed. ये हमको करना पड़ रहा है. It's not something that we seem to be coming from our hearts. And I think that is where the problem lies. So one of the other perspectives when I joined QCI as a director on their board 4 years ago, I think I asked the board, I said, if I were to get to the chairman, and I posed this question to the chairman, if I were to get you 4 gift boxes, they look exactly the same, and I say, Mr. Chairman, you are the most important person in the room, so you get the first pick of which gift you would like to pick. They look exactly the same, except one box says made in Japan, one says made in Korea, one says made in China, and one says something else. We know in which order these boxes will get picked. Not only by people like us who are educated, who probably traveled, but if I were to do the same experiment outside Vigyan Bhawan right now, with some kids who have never been outside this area, they would also pick it in the same order. So the question to all of us today is that as India and our whole Make in India vision is coming alive, we are talking of being Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are talking of being Viksit Bharat. If a few years from now I were to add that 4th bag and call it Made in India, when would I get picked? What is my ambition, first of all? Is it not to be 4th? Is it to be 2nd? Is it to be 1st? And I think that national ambition and that roadmap is actually what MSMEs like me and my colleagues here do day in and day out, will actually decide what order we are going to be picked in. Now look at it, so this is nice from a national perspective, and an MSME says, look, I have enough to do anyway. So this is nice big talk, we hear it in the conference rooms, but when I come to the shop floor, my realities are very different. And my perspective there too is this. So when I'm a 2nd generation entrepreneur, this company was started by my in-laws. We were 40 people when I joined in 1992. Liberalization had just happened. I mean, Manmohan Singh ji had announced the liberalization, and I happened to ask a simple question saying, what does it mean to us? And I remember my father-in-law said, look, we are a very small company with 40 people. I'm already getting old. 3 daughters, nobody is interested in the business. So I have 2 paths ahead. Either I sell this company now, which will get me a good price because it's a seller's market, profits look good. Not many people can make electronic capacitors in India. He had got a license from the Department of Electronics in those days, and he was licensed to make 10 million, that's 1 crore capacitors in the whole year. 2-3 other people also had similar licenses. Philips was one of them. Everybody was doing well. There was a shortage, not only of capacitors, but everything electronic then. So this is a good time to get off the train, right? Or the second thing is, he says, my real desire is that we take this global, we compete with the world. That's what an entrepreneur should do. But I don't have the physical energy, I don't have age on my side. So that is how I was invited into what I call this family trap. So I got into that. And I asked myself this question, how do I want to run this company? And the answer to me was, because I came from a completely different industry then, that I want to run it as a happy entrepreneur, most importantly. I'm a happy, positive person. I don't want to get burdened. I don't want to live a stressful life. Fourth, I don't want my colleagues who work with me also to have any stress. And that answer told me that, hey, the first thing that can ensure that you live a stress-free life is to have a complete dedication and commitment towards quality. Because the way the world reacts with me, interacts with me on a daily basis, is through this word quality. So I recall a few years later, so first thing I did, I took on a project. I had to prove to myself and to everybody around that I was a competent person to run the company. So what I did is, in '93, I took on this challenge of getting ourselves an ISO 9002 license, certificate. Not many people had heard of this. I had also heard of it somewhere. So I picked up a small book and read about it. We were amongst the first 100 companies to get ISO 9000 at that point of time in India. In the electronics business, what I did was, none of my customers, BPLs, Onidas, Crown, and Videocon of the world, had that license. So I became a speaker and began to tell people how to get this and what are the benefits, and we all learned together. What it told me was that, finally, what is quality? It's either a stated or a perceived standard to something, right? And then I need to follow that standard. So it's a discipline. It's a way of doing that, and then hopefully you keep improving upon that on a daily basis. So I was confronted with a situation where, with these 10 million capacitors, we still had 26 complaints that year from customers. So I told guys, I said, okay, here's an experiment we need to do. Take out the biggest whiteboard available, write down all these 26 complaints. We had a small factory, and I said, at the entrance of that, and capacitor is something when you buy, you want to see the factory you're buying it from. There's that kind of a business. These are electronic capacitors, so they go on board. If they fail, you are in deep trouble. The whole supply chain is in trouble. So I said, we are going to put this right at the place where every customer is going to walk in. The first thing, announce these 26 complaints. And they said, look, we know you're mad, but now we know you're completely mad, because nobody is going to buy from us. So I said, absolutely. That is the reality. By not putting it on a board, the reality does not change. What we begin to excel at is how to hide these complaints, how to build excuses around them, how not to really take them out in the open. So I'm going to do the opposite. We'll put it out here, except that we will write the name of the person who is responsible for this complaint, who will ensure that this complaint will never come again. Corrective action, preventive action, and now we do 8D. There are many formats. But the crux of the matter was that when a customer walked in and he said, hey, you get that many complaints, we were all trained to say, sir, I would like you to pick one complaint. I'd like you to take it to the person who handles this complaint, have a 5-minute talk with him, and then we would like to talk about complaints. The idea was that that person was so well trained, and he genuinely understood the complaint, what was the root cause, how did he solve it, how is he so sure that it will never ever come back again, that the customer became very impressed with this dialogue that he was having. And he said, if a worker on the shop floor can give me this kind of an answer, this is a good company. The other thing, of course, it did is that number of complaints are going down. Today, with that, and that's why I mentioned the figure of 1 crore or 10 million capacitors that we used to do then in the year. We are today 640 people from 40. Each of those people has actually created 16 jobs. 16 families today are employed because one out of those 40 people did something right. I wasn't a part of that. I came in much later. The other thing that happened is that we obviously had to scale up. Capacitors, like many other electronic components, is a zero-duty item since 2005. So the last 20 years, every single capacitor I sell against Chinese prices. There is zero tariff protection, zero non-tariff protection. Obviously, the team has helped me to do that, and that's why I use that word participative management, because there's no other way to do this. What we did was, we had to scale up, and that scale today is that same 10 million pieces I do in 2.5 days. That's the scale that we have reached today. We do 1.2 billion pieces, almost 4 million pieces per day, is what we are able to produce in that factory with the same people, similar people, similar technologies, and of course growing that. What is even more important is that because quality or the persuasion, the pursuit of quality is nothing but the pursuit of excellence. And I'm a firm believer that you can do whatever you like, and we're talking about quality, unless you bring it down to a cultural level, it won't change. Japan's streets are clean because it's a culture for them to keep everything clean. I was on a holiday for a week with my family, could not find one single dustbin in that whole country. We traveled the length and breadth, we went to 3 different destinations. If you left your hotel in the morning and you had a tissue in your hand, you cannot find a single waste bin to put that tissue into. It's not available. And I realized later that it was a national sort of strategy that they had. You could only come back to your hotel or to your house to find a garbage bin to put it back. And yet not one piece of paper would be found anywhere. It cannot be done by systems, it can only be done by culture. So we created a culture within Deki. We have a national prayer every morning. We sing a prayer which we've written ourselves. Has paragraphs on quality, has paragraphs on environment. And this is like 25-year-old. We sing the national anthem. And there's a thought for the day, which is very interesting. Just a minute or two. One by one, every single employee of Deki has to speak on that day, right? So we've had some of the finest speeches coming out of our. One of them I remember is from a Safai Karamchari. And of course, he was very nervous, didn't want to be there. He said, so HR told him that, look, this exception, nobody can go speak to the MD. And he came to me, for the first time he had come to my office. He was literally shivering. And I said, what's wrong with you? So he said, no, somebody tells me that I can't read, but notice board पे मेरा नाम लगा दिया है. उन्होंने बोला कल बात करनी है आपको. तो I said, हाँ बिल्कुल बहुत अच्छी बात है. So he said, नहीं सब मैं तो 4 लोगों से ज़्यादा बात नहीं किया मैंने कभी. तो I said, कोई बात नहीं. मैं आपके साथ कल खड़ा होता हूँ 9 बजे. And हम दोनों मिलके बात करेंगे. So wherever you have a problem, I will step in. And there are only 4 people. Look at only 4. Forget all the other 400 that are there. He wasn't obviously convinced. And next morning he came and started one of the finest speeches I remember. And he said, मैं रात भर सोचता रहा कि मेरा काम क्या है. And he said, मेरा काम है सफाई करना. मैं क्या साफ करता हूँ? मैं वो साफ करता हूँ जो आप सब लोग गंदा करते हैं. And he went on for a nice 3-4 minutes. Really the 5 standards in my factory went up from that day. Because he was able to put ownership back on those people. I couldn't have done that. So when you allow people to participate in this journey of what we might loosely call quality, for me it's pursuit of excellence. And you invite them to be a part of that journey. We have a very simple Monday to Friday suggestion scheme. Every employee is encouraged to give a suggestion. No box, give it to your supervisor. You are incentivized for every suggestion that is given. So Saturday morning you get a 50 rupee cash prize for every suggestion that is accepted. Friday evening there's a workers committee that meets, asks only 2 questions. Is this suggestion viable and is it useful? No third question is allowed to be asked. If both are ticks, then it is accepted. It goes into the accepted suggestions list. You get a 50 rupee cash prize. And the supervisor who got the suggestion, he has a KRA. If he does not get that many suggestions, then he is, during the appraisal, he is made to look bad. So we reverse the whole thing. It's my job as a supervisor to get suggestions out of people. And that has many benefits. I won't go into that. But when you walk into my factory today, which is much larger than when we started, you will see hopefully a welcome board for yourself and an electronic ticker. And the second scroll is the number of suggestions we've implemented till date. If I'm not mistaken, this morning's number was 74,700 suggestions. Are the implemented suggestions in that place? So when you begin to pursue this, so quality is not cost. Quality sets me free. As an entrepreneur, it allows me to do things I want to do. Allows me to be happy, allows me to pursue other hobbies and interests, other businesses, because I know that I can be here giving this speech. But somebody there is taking care of. We've got standards. Those standards are nothing but technology or technical translations of the voice of the customer. What do you want in a capacitor? If I were to ask my customer, listen to all of them carefully, I will make standard specifications out of it. BIS has some standards. We hope to be able to do always better than those standards because those are the standards that are normal. A breakdown voltage of 3 times is normal. But then I don't want to make a normal capacitor spending all my life. So we want to make something with 3.5 times or 4 times that breakdown voltage. And so this is ingrained into people. And when you're able to do that, standards of products are translated into standards of processes. They are translated into machine standards. They are translated into training standards, into test standards, evaluation standards, packaging standards, and finally the standard that we give to our customer. And if you just listen to this carefully, I mean, I tell everybody, the simplest thing to do is look at your standard operating procedures. Are they being followed correct or not? And I'm actually obsessed with that. Every door almost in India, I'm sure this one also has that outside. It'll either say push or pull. And if you stand aside and see, more than 50% of the people will do exactly the opposite of what is written on that. I think that's the culture we need to change. So in Deki, you are allowed to change that as many times as you like. Anybody can go tomorrow and say, I don't like this pull sticker, I'm going to make it a push sticker. Allowed. Or you say, look, I'm very confused about pull or push, there is no purpose, I'm going to take off the sticker. Allowed. But if you put a push sticker and you pull it, then I will come down on you as a ton of bricks. So that's the only promise I have to them. So if you're able to do this very, very simple thing, not only as entrepreneurs we will succeed, MSMEs will become large companies, India will become, hopefully our bag will get picked before a lot of other bags.
Thank you so much, sir, for elucidating so well how you have been able to align your, objectives with developing and evolving this culture of equality in your organization. Coming towards the end of today's discussion, I would like to thank the chairperson and all the panelists for a very qualitative discussion on quality consciousness among MSMEs. And I would now like to invite, if there are any questions from the audience. So I have this.
Better. Thank you.
My question is with Mr. Verma from BIS. Sir, this I am asking from the MSME fraternity, which we used to listen on various occasions. We have the MSMEs like Mr. Sharma who are quite quality conscious and they want to go for the quality. But there are some issues in the QCO which are raised at various platforms, which I would like to raise. You said that you have given the opportunity to MSMEs to now, MSCs especially, to not to have their testing labs in-house. They can use the testing labs outside, but there are issues. The labs are not in the clusters, in their clusters. So that is creating a cost to them, which is more than the manufacturing cost getting it tested. There's a time cost as well as transportation cost, all these things, number one. So what efforts BIS is taking in creating testing infrastructure in the country? MSMEs are very well interested to go for the quality. Rather, they are making the product which are as per the European standards. There is no issue they are exporting, but this is creating some problem about the labs. Number two, the QCOs are issued by respective line ministries. BIS is not issuing. You are telling that we are not issuing. It is being issued by line ministry. Maximum is, I think, by DPIT 172 or so. Like steel ministry has issued the QCO for CRGO. These are not manufactured in the country. CRGO is totally imported, 100%. So it is creating a cost on the MSME who are in the area of transformer also. Another example is the plastic industry, which is a lot in MSME. If you say the transformer, there are few scarce, but if you say the plastic, from pen, paper, all these things, a lot of industries are there. PVC, polyvinyl chloride, around 1,800 tons is being manufactured in the country, where the consumption is 3,500 something more, 1,000 tons. So it is being imported from US, Europe and all these places. Again, the cost has been enhanced. So suggestion from the MSME side, associations, the QCOs should be on the product, not on the raw material or in the intermediate product or the machinery. It should be on the finished product. And BIS, we are also there, Ministry of MSME is also interested to create a testing infrastructure. What BIS is doing for creating testing infrastructure for the MSMEs?
Okay, thank you, sir. Regarding this quality, testing laboratories, you are asking me. See, I tell you that BIS is also having about 10 captive laboratories. Okay, these laboratories are basically for our own purpose. Our own purpose. We are not into testing of private samples. We are for captive consumption only. Every year, almost we draw these samples from the factory as well as from the market. So around 1.5 lakh samples we are drawing, almost. Okay. So we have capacity of testing about 1 lakh samples. So again, we require other laboratory for outside laboratories for this remaining 40 to 50,000 samples. So what we have done is we have approved around 371 or 372 labs, around 372 labs. And we have elaborate procedure for approving those laboratory. Private labs are there. Apart from those private labs, we are also utilizing, this government organization, for example, IITs, NITs, and many government labs are there. So all those laboratory we are utilizing for our, certification purpose. And we have also impaneled some of the, specific lab, like the Square Board. They are testing all those, product based on coils. For example, Rubber Board, they are testing rubber products. Citras, they are testing textile products. MSMEs, all those government labs, we have impaneled them. So altogether, we are having about 290 odd labs. Okay, so these many labs we are already having for this our testing purpose. So just for the lack of testing facility in the market, generally we have not come across nowadays that we are not able to give license. Apart from that, for MSMEs, we have given so many options for them that you can get tested your product not in your, if lab is not there in the factory, you can get it tested from your sister concern, your fellow licensees. You can have a cluster lab also. You can just make a lab and nearby where say 10-15 factories are there or similar product factories are there, you can just have a cluster lab with that will also permit. Sharing of test facilities obviously permitted. You can have a tie-up with all these impaneled lab which I said you, and all these BIS approved lab. You can have contact, some kind of arrangement with them also. If you do not have all these kind of facility, if you do not able to make it with all this facility which BIS is providing you, we have also allowed even NABL approved lab. Any NABL approved lab, you can just have a tie-up with them, and that also we can allow you. So these kind of things are there. Apart from this license granting procedure also we have simplified, so that if you have some facility in your factory, you can get all those tested, all those tests done in your factory, remaining you can get from outside labs. So there are so many new things which we are coming up just to cross this kind of hurdles for MSMEs.
And
raw material issues.
Raw material issues, that's a big issue. Actually, I can understand very well that you are much aware of, about this issue. This recently, the steel issue has come. We are having about
PVC is the major issue.
Is also
the steel can run the transformer.
Yes.
But the PVC is the biggest issue.
Many association. Actually, we are having this foreign certification also, as you all know. Domestic, as I said, we are having about 50,000 licenses, but in foreign certification also we are having about say 2,400 licenses now. Apart from this 2,400 licenses, we are having about 2,800 applications also. So there are many associations here. They are making these kind of points that somehow we have to stop these imports so that our domestic industry are protected. Okay. So, but ministries are also taking a conscious decision. BIS is also taking a conscious decision, because while taking decisions by the ministry, they also seek our opinion also. So we are taking some conscious decision on these issues. Regarding that point, you said that CRGO steel. Nowadays we are having some few licenses are there, and they are also making this CRGO steel. Okay, so that association actually they are asking that we had permitted one license for renewal, that was in China. So because there were not many manufacturers in the country, so we allowed them to let that license continue. Okay, so that we can have that kind of steel in the what is required in our country. But now the question which is coming from that association, which they have started in this country also, stop that also. So that kind of issue, every day we are getting all those challenges sorted out, and ministry is also sorting out all those issues. Okay, thank you.
If I may just add one point to the QCO thing, because sir, yesterday Minister Piyush Goyal ji had invited MSMEs. I don't know if you were there. It was a full house, and it was a meeting supposed to be from 6 to 7, went on till about 9:15 on QCOs. And I just will take 3 or 4 points from there. You're absolutely right. It was agreed that QCOs, especially from DPIIT, there's been some stakeholder. But in the case of QCO steel, because a lot of us had problems with steel, it appeared that stakeholder meeting, consultation before the QCO was not done as well as should have been done. So they're now looking at exempting some industries or whatever, but it's being thought about. Your point about raw material, he was very categorical in saying that the view is that we do it for finished goods first. Then if you require to come to this thing and then come to the raw materials finally, not the other way around. So that was also highlighted. And then now we are also told that it is the DEA, the Department of Economic Affairs, the additional secretary there will form a committee. All new QCOs will have to come through him. So that this kind of this thing. So you're absolutely right. While the purpose of QCO was very positive, I think it should have helped a lot of industries and has helped a lot of industries. But some of us who suffered are obviously going to make more noise. And that is why, I think that balance, that narrative got a little stolen. So, yes. But he's promised to take care of all that, yes.
Yeah, so Mr. Verma, I was just trying to figure out, so there are a lot of, work going on the climate change side. So is the BIS also, developing some standards for green products or green standard, I don't know, what would you like to call them? But is there something like that happening over there?
See, earlier in the licensing process itself, we were actually certifying the products not only as per the Indian standard, we were also giving some eco mark. Okay, but now that has been taken back by Ministry of, I think, Environment. Okay, so they have taken this, this licensing business from us to themselves itself. Okay, so this eco mark now they are giving. We are not giving that license, but we have created one, ecology department in our office itself. So they are making standard on those products. Okay, so
we should have an offline discussion on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, then we'll close the discussion. Thank you so much to all the panelists, to the chairperson, to the audience, to all the senior officers who have been relentlessly engaged in organizing today's program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair and the panelists. This was a very absorbing session. We've heard the inherent problems of MSMEs in adopting quality issues, and then how the revamped Z tries to address some of these gaps. And we've also learned how awareness and quality consciousness is very important, not throughout the supply chain alone, but also in the services. This was very interesting. Thank you all for a very nice session. I now call upon Divya Singh to please present a gift hamper to the panelists. Vinamra Mishra, sir, Chair. Dr. Ramanand Shuklaji, QCI. S.K. Verma ji from BIS. Shri Manoj Sharma ji. Shri Gaurav Bhava. Ms. Nitisha Man, moderator. Thank you very much, one and all. So we can have a photo op session here. Can you please come to the stage? Thank you, everyone. I know we've all had a very long day today. You can enjoy your evening cup of tea on the ground floor. Thank you. Please come, proceed to the ground floor.